Hi, welcome to my video on the vertical stretch on a parabola. The vertical stretch is another form of a transformation, a vertical stretch, stretching it vertically. Let's look at the vertical stretch on a parabola. The mapping rule for vertical stretch I'm going to call VS. The mapping rule is x comma y map to x comma AY. So a vertical stretch is multiplying the y value by a positive, some positive. So we have A is, let's say A is not negative, is the best way to say it. A is not negative, or A is not 0. Because if we have A to be 0, then we won't have a parabola. So the A we're looking at is the positive value of A, because if A is negative, it opens the parabola downward. If A is positive, the parabola opens upward. So we're only looking at A to be positive values, not the negatives. So the basic equation of a parabola is y equals x squared. So the table of values of 2 becomes 4, 1, 0, 1, 4. I've memorized the basic table, basic equation. This is the basic table of a parabola. And now we're going to looking at when, notice A here, we have, if you take the equation, we have a 1x squared. So A is 1 in this equation. And you notice that the vertex is 0, 0 in the basic graph. So what happens when you have the equation y equals 2 times x squared? Well, it's doubling the value. So let's see. X is 2 was y. So we get x is 2 squared. So that's 2 times 4. That makes it 8. X is 1. So we have a 1 squared. So a 1 squared is 1. So that gives us 2. X is a 0. 0 squared. We get 0, and we get a 0. Notice we're obeying PEMDAS. When we put the 2 in the place of x, we have to do the power first and then multiply after. We're doing PEMDAS. We don't go 2 times 2 is 4 and get 4 squared is 16. We have to work the exponent first by PEMDAS. P-E-M-D-A-S. We have the inside the bracket is simplified. That's done. 2. We have to do the exponent first and then multiply. And then we go negative 1 is x. So negative 1 squared is 1. So we get a 2. And now we get x is negative 2. Again, notice this is 2x squared. We're putting the values in the place of x and then working it out. So we get an 8. And let's have a look at that. Let's look at the graph of the basic one first. So let's graph each one so we won't get confused. The basic graph has a 2 and a 4, 1 and 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, negative 1, 1, negative 1, 1, negative 2, 4. So this is your basic parabola. That's the graph of your basic parabola. Okay, so what is the A in front of the x squared doing? Well, as you can see, when you're doubling these, you're making the y value twice as high because you got a 2. So when you graph 2 and 8, 2 gives you 8 is right there. A 1 gives you a 2. X is 1, y is 2. X is 0, y is 0. X is negative 1, y is 2. X is negative 1, y is 2. X is negative 2, y is 8. X is negative 2, y is 8. So notice that the parabola now is the y value is doubled. So that means, notice that the parabola is a stretch value of 2, vertical stretch of 2, doubling it. It makes the parabola, as you notice, if you see it, there it is, So this is the basic one, number 1, and now this is number 2. I numbered them so you can see. Notice that you have 2 times the y value, so that means the parabola is twice as high and the y value is twice high, but the parabola is narrow, has gone closer to the y-axis. It's narrow. This one is wider. What about a half? Well, let's put a half in. We got a half. X is 2, so it's a half x squared. So we square 2 and get 4. Half of 4 is 2. And we put a 1 in and square it. 1 squared is 1. A half of 1 is a half. Put a 0 in. We square 0 to get a 0. And a half times 0 is 0. And we put a negative 1 in. Oh, put a 1 in. Put a negative. Make sure I put the obeys what I'm saying. I'm putting a negative 1 in the place of x. I square, I get 1. A half times 1 is a half. And I'm putting negative 2 in. Negative 2 squared is 4. Half of 4 is 2. Again, notice it's symmetrical. Notice this 0, 0 is the vertex in the middle. And that's the same here. I got a 2 and a 2. And I got an 8 and an 8. It's symmetrical. Notice the vertex is in the middle. So the 0 is between 2 and 2. The 0 is in between 8 and 8. So 0 is in the, this is the vertex. Vertex. Vertex is the ordered pairs that's in the middle of the y. See the y values. That'll tell you where the vertex is. And so let's graph this one. We got 2 giving us 2. 2 gives us 2. 1 gives you a half. So 1 gives you a half. 0 gives you 0. Negative 1 gives you a half. Negative 1 gives you a half. And it's so small, you need to spread it out further. Negative 2 gives you a 2. Up right there a bit. So notice the parabola is doing this. I got a touch in here, but it shouldn't be. There it is. Let's do that. So notice the half is only half as high. So there's number 3, half as high. So notice the half makes it wider. It's not gone up so much. So it's wider. And let's look at the 3. 3, we have a 2. 3x squared, so we have a 2 squared. So 2 squared is 4. Oh, that's a 3. So that's a 4 times 2 is 12. And we have x is 1, so that's 12. 1 squared is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. We got a 0 squared is 0. 3 times 0 is 0. And we got a negative 1. Squared is 1. 3 times 1 is 3. And we have negative 2 and squaring it. Negative 2 squared is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. And again, notice 1 unit on the left and right, we get a 3. 2 units on the left and right, we get a 12. So you can see that this is the vertex. The vertex didn't change when you do a vertical stretch. And let's plot when 2 gives us a 12 when we have 3x squared. 2 gives us a 12, so there's a 12. 2, 12, right there. 1 gives us a 3. 1 gives us a 3, right there. 0, 0. Negative 1 gives us a 3, right there. And negative 2 gives us a 12. Go way on up to a 12. And you notice that the parabola is 3 times, the y values are 3 times higher than the other ones. 3 times the basic parabola, that is. So there's number 3. Sorry, number 4. 1 is the basic. This is, the y values are twice as high, so this is number 2. y values in number 3 are only half as high, so it's right here. And in number 4, the y values are triple, so you can see that the bigger the number, the narrower it is, closer to the y-axis. And the smaller the number, without being negative and not 0, it makes it wider. So we have a basic equation that says y is equal to x squared. So y is equal to 1x squared. So notice in number 1, a, in the first equation, basic equation, a is 1. In number 2, the a is 2. In this equation, a is 2. In this equation, a is a half. Is a half times the x squared. And in number 4, a is 3. So that's the value. A is the value that x squared is multiplied by. The value of a in the table is opposite to the x value equal to 1. Notice your a is 1. A is 1. A is 2. A is a half. A is 3. In relation to the basic equation, y equals x squared, a is 1, the number 2 graph is it narrower or wider? It's narrow. It's narrower than the basic graph. And when you have a 3, number 3, the half makes it wider. And again, it's wider than the basic graph. Remember, the basic graph is number 1. So when we have a half, it's wider. When we have a number greater than 1, it's narrower. So number 4 is even narrower again. So it's the narrowest, because that's a 3. This graph, number 3, because it's a 3, number 4 graph, which is this equation right here, is going to be the narrowest of the 4 of them, closest to the y-axis. Okay, let's continue. Let's look at the equation. Again, in relation to the basic equation, basic equation is y equals x squared, which graph could be 1/3. So notice in this equation, y equals 1x squared. A is 1. So if a is 1, so this is 1/3. So 1/3 is a smaller number, so it makes it wider. So the 1/3 would be number 1 graph. And y equals 4x, that would be number 3 graph. And the basic equation would be number 2 graph. Because, again, the bigger the number, the narrower the graph. So y equals 4x squared. A is 4 here. So the bigger the number, the larger the number greater than 1, it'll be narrower. The smaller the number, less than 1, it'll be wider. Let's do more explanation. In relation to y equals x squared, which value of a in this equation, y equals ax squared, would the parabola be narrower? In this, so be narrower in 1. So we're looking at the value of a. Now let's go down and pick up the value of a, which is down here. Which one would be narrower than the basic equation? The basic equation has a equal to 1. So if you have a value of the value of a to be 6, so will this parabola be number 1 or number 2? Would it be narrower? So it would be number 1. It would be narrower, because the bigger the number, the narrower it's going to be. And if it's 2/3, it's going to be number 2. It's going to be wider. So if I give you 4 numbers like 2, 6, 1/3, and 1/10. Again, if you, this one is the narrowest one. This is the A values now. These are A values. This is the narrowest one. This is the next one, and this is the next one, and this is the next one. So if you have an A is 6, the parabola is right close. If you have A is 2, the parabola moves out further. If you have A is 1/3, and the flat is further out, wider out. And if you have A is 1/10, it's only 1/10 as high, it's flatter out again. So this is the y-axis. So this is the one where A is 6. This is the one where A is 2. This is the one where A is 1/3. This is the one where A is 1/10. Because the bigger the number, the narrower the parabola is going to be. So let's sum it up. Note, if A is greater than 1, the parabola is blank compared to y equals x squared. And it's A is greater than 1, that means A is 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to be narrower. If A is between 0 and 1, the parabola is going to be wider. So between 0 and 1 is a half or a third or so on. It's going to be wider than the basic parabola. And if A is equal to 1, the parabola is going to be the same width. It's going to be the same. Both of them will fit on top of each other. One won't be wide, it won't be wider or narrower. So if A is 1 in two different equations, then both parabolas will fit on top of each other perfectly. Okay, from the narrowest to the widest, order each parabola. From the narrowest parabola to the widest parabola. So the narrowest parabola got the biggest number. So the largest number here is y equals 5x squared. A is 5. The next one is y equals 3. And the next one, 1/4 and 2/15. 1/4 is next. And the smallest number is 2/15. And if you want, use a decimal, because that's, or you can go with a common denominator of 60, but 1/4 is larger than 2/15. Use a calculator and change it to a decimal. So the narrowest one would be the biggest number, 5. Next one is 3. Next one is 1/4. Next one is 2/15. So the larger the number, the narrower it's going to be compared to the basic parabola, compared to y equals x squared. And if you like my video, click the like button, click the subscribe button, notification bell, and visit my math website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find more information about me, my videos, and the content. And that's the content on my YouTube channel called Math Fully Explained. Thank you for viewing my video.